Hey, what's up everyone? It's Reed Young, aka Shuda for PokerSprout.com, and today I will be playing some 50-cent $1 6 max no limit hold'em and commenting on it for you guys to show you my thought process as I play two tables and let you know how I intend on busting up some regulars in these games. I'm playing on Bovada, which is one of the few sites that caters to players like me in the US. Man, that's a good way to start. Let's just flop that set on that ace-high drawy board. A great time to check raise because I can represent some gut shots and flush draws, and if he has a hand like ace-jack or better, I should be getting paid quite a bit. Not much to say about his bet size. It's pretty standard. For some reason I didn't flop a set on the other side though, so that's annoying. Unfortunately, no action on the left. We're certainly going all the way there. That would have been kind of a funky turn, just because a lot of players will only check raise there with flush draws and sets. So if the heart comes on the turn and you are the opponent with a hand like ace-jack without a heart, you have a really easy fold. So you got to think about that when you're check raising the flop. Some of the times you do want to have a hand that isn't a flush draw or a set, because you got to be able to represent some bluffs on those scary turns. That said, that's only if your opponent's good enough to realize that. So if they just don't give a shoot and they're going to be like, yo, I have top pair, no amount of money matters, then, no reason to bluff, really. Just go ahead and value bet. Of course, you have to weigh that against their continuation betting frequency, all that good stuff. So I think roughly what I'll be doing with this series, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a bankroll challenge series per se, because I'd like to involve a bunch of different formats of poker that I don't think will be optimal for moving up my bankroll quickly. But what I will be doing is being pretty aggressive with the bankroll I have on this site. And I don't know if you guys saw, but as I bought in there, it was for about, I think I have about $1,500 in play here. So 15 buy-ins for a 6 max cash game is not a lot. But that said, there's a lot of things to take into account. One of which is your win rate in the game, and I think for 50 cent $1, mine is gigantic because on average I'm going to be a lot better than all these guys. So I can afford to play with a shorter bankroll. If you check out the math of it, I think it's pretty cool. Here I'm just going to go ahead and check. He bets $1, which is kind of interesting. I doubt ace-high is the best hand, and I probably should not be drawing to a conditional 3-outer, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold. I don't think a check raise bluff has much merit against a $1 bet. If he is making it, it's for a reason. It's either to induce action or, maybe it's some sort of cute bluff, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to be checking hands like Jack-10 or sometimes King-Queen there. And he is just not going to be able to do much about that. So as long as you're checking a mixed range of hands, you're going to be fine. In hindsight, I didn't realize every single person at this table besides me is short stacked. I would have liked to raise to a smaller amount pre-flop, because I'm not going to have any trouble getting all the money in on, pretty much any board, since we're only 30 to 40 big blinds effective against everyone. And we've got the Rockets on the left-hand table. That's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and bet the old Trey 5-0 on the right. Certainly happy to go with it. Did not materialize. On the left, I think a good re-raise size is about 10 smackers, so let's throw them out there. I expect to be called by a lot of hands, so given the positions, maybe even re-raised. If I do get re-raised, I think I would almost always be jamming just the first time. But it's tough to say. I mean, there's certainly merit to calling. Just slow playing with a 4-bet out of position is a little ridiculous when you have such a narrow range. So you want to keep that in mind. It's pretty obvious, I think, that you have to have something, and it's something good enough to play a 4-bet pot with. So, you know, I didn't even learn from my own mistake, and I opened 7s to 3x on the right. Got min re-raised. I'm not really sure what to expect from that. I'm definitely not just set mining here. So that's a very important thing to consider. Now whether or not I could bet twice and get one of these guys to fold a king, specifically the small blind, I think is the main concern. If the button starts betting, he bets so small, so that's a good bet. Maybe he can represent kings with this bet. I'm not positive. Maybe he's just taking a stab. But the thing is, if I do call, pretty much every river is scary. And it's going to be tough to make another check call unless the river is a 7. Then I assume it would be check raising all in, or check calling an all in. You guys can see though all the bet sizing that these players are making just really aren't optimized to get their stacks in at any point during the hand. So that's something that pretty much lets you know you're against at least not extremely high level players. That doesn't mean they're awful, but it certainly means that there's some room for improvement. So that's great for us because, I mean, not that we would ever be in this situation at a 50-cent $1 table, but we know we're not against, you know, 5 world-class players here. So there's definitely some money to be won, and we'll keep an eye out for that. And part of adjusting to that is making sure that we manipulate bet size and stack size as well. So doing things like not opening pre-flop to 3x unless you want to open a tighter range, which is an option. You just need to realize, so if you're opening to 3 big blinds and you have everyone sitting at the table, you know, with 30 or 40 big blinds, just like in a tournament, it creates very profitable re-steal options for them if you're opening the same range of hands that you would be opening for 3x if you're at a 100 big blind effective table, because you're not going to have implied odds with a lot of the hands with which you might call a re-raise. Like, so if I got re-raised with, you know, 7s, against some people I might call that re-raise, hoping to take it down if a 7 comes, or, you know, a number of boards come where I feel comfortable peeling 1 or 2 streets, and then maybe my opponent gives up some of the time, a bunch of things like that. But you can't really do that with 30 big blind stacks, and it's very similar to a tournament where it's just more advantageous to open for a smaller amount. And like I said before, we're not worried about getting in stacks. Here at Ace Queen, I believe it to be a pretty standard calling situation, and I don't think I really have to worry about getting squeezed by anyone, insofar as I will have a better hand if a squeeze occurs. Also, a lot of the time I do dominate the open raiser's range, so it's nice to have some hands in your range with which you can flat call that dominate his range. So here I'm going to call just because this is one of the better hands I can have. Now that this turn has come, if he checks, I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a bluff by betting twice. And let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and actually bet like a boss. Like, let's just go about 1.5 times the size of the pot twice in a row. What I'm doing here is targeting bluff catching hands like his entire range, in my assumption. So I would bluff and value bet appropriately, proportionately, was the other like half of that made up word I was about to say. So stuff like Ace Queen that has a lot of equity against hands like King 10 and sets or straights there, something like that would be a good betting range. If he's just totally capped, I mean, if he always has King Jack or worse to check there, then, you know, King Queen is just as much the nuts as a straight is, basically. I mean, obviously, you know, there's a little bit of an equity difference there, but as far as our bet size goes, it's really not going to change much. So I like putting on the pressure there. That's something you will not see a lot of players at this limit do. You probably wouldn't even see a lot of players at like 2-5 games or 3-6 games playing their stacks that way. So something cool maybe you guys could apply in your own game. Always like putting the pedal on the gas when people are just like, yo, I don't have anything. And you know, the important thing is just not to get carried away with it. It can work, and it can work all the time against some players, but you know, some people actually do have a balanced game plan, and if you try to do that crap against them with your entire range, you're going to get lit up. That said, few of those people are playing 50-cent $1 no limit hold'em 6 max games. So run some numbers on your own, figure out you know, what percent you need to win, and then if it's a small percentage, you can figure out how much equity you need to win, or you need to have when called on the turn. And the cool thing is, if you overbet there, you're so rarely raised by one of those bluff catchers that you almost always get to realize that equity. So in other words, if I bet there with ace queen, and he does have king jack or king 10, something like that, then if an ace or whatever the other card would be, I think it was a 4 that would complete the wheel, hit the river, then I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm either getting check called again with the best hand, or you know, I'm gonna take down the hand just from him check folding. So it's all good. 250. I think this is a really close spot. I'm just gonna go ahead and fold because a lot of people just don't barrel often enough for you to be put in borderline situations with these hands. So the counter to that is that I could check raise a bit more often and maybe assume that our opponent continuation bets too often, things like that. I don't know if that's the case. Here, if this guy flats, I am certainly going to consider a squeeze, simply because I blocked both pocket kings and both pocket jacks, and he's taken a while, and he's not rebuying. So I think that means he's a weaker player on average. This guy's been open raising quite often, so I would expect him to fold enough of the time at least. Something, well, especially now that we're heads up, I'm just going to go ahead and fold it, which might look tight, but when you think about it, there's a lot of reverse implied odds situations, again, that are just pretty terrible for this hand. Also, we're deeper than 100 big blinds. We're about 117 big blinds effective. So I'm going to get called by a lot of hands that dominate me rather than 4-bet, and that's not a good situation to be in. This guy bets 4 into a 4. I mean, this may look like a fine hand since I flopped a pair, but it's kind of meaningless. I'm just going to let it go, and that's a bit of an exploitive adjustment, but it's also based on the fact that he bet close to pot, which these guys have not been doing previously, at least that I've seen. So to me, that means his hand range is going to be a bit stronger than what we would actually need it to be in order to check call there. You know, obviously if the turn's an ace, that would have been pretty great. But can't see into the future that well. Pretty good at predicting it, but can't see it as far as the deck goes. Fantastic flop for us. We got that open-ended. You don't really need to bet largely if you're betting into multiple players to get in stacks, especially when they're short stacked. So betting something like Queen 10 here, or better, with some draws is a good mix, I think. And this cold call is extremely interesting. To me, this is just like something stupid. I think either a slow play or some sort of king 10-ish or better hand. We certainly have odds to call to try to hit that strizate, like we do, like a boss. So what I'm going to do is allow this man to blast it. This guy's going to call, then we're going to go for it. Everyone's going to be like, oh, pot odds, and then they're going to call, and we're going to take it down. So looks like this guy might have a set, which is, you know, unfortunate, because he's going to have some equity once we get it in. But, yeah, I think this guy's... Okay, so he did have king 10. Sweet. I guess he was just kind of worried about the potential for, you know, scare cards or whatever. It's unfortunate that he played it that way because any, I think, decent player would have called there, and then I think a check raise doesn't look as strong from us. But when we do 3-bet the turn, I think this guy is going to be folding a lot. And so you might think like, okay, well, why did you 3-bet the turn then, Reed? Well, because if we cold call, it looks even stronger. So, I mean, you might as well try to represent a bluff while also getting money into the pot. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we did it that way. Here, I am desperately trying to get a showdown. It is not working. I'm gonna get fancy and just say, what up? You ain't calling, bro? Don't even show me that. That's just one of those spots. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll have a flush, and sometimes I'll have a bluff, but against people at this limit, if you bet 10 times the pot, there's just so many spots that just fold. I mean, it's pretty cool. So, again, you know, you might not want to overdo it, and you might want to do it in spots where it makes sense that you have a good hand. Like I could have checked back something, you know, with 2 spades on the flop, picked up a flush draw on the turn, checked it back again, trying to get a showdown, backed into a flush draw. I mean, that happens every once in a while, right? So since it happens so rarely, the bet that corresponds to it should be extremely large, because I'm going to be bluffing there just a ridiculous amount of the time, or I could be bluffing rather, in proportion to the times I actually do have a nut flush. So in order to make someone indifferent to calling my bet, I need to be betting pretty freaking huge. I mean, I would be surprised if 10 times the pot took care of it, really. But the bottom line is, it's going to be a no-line bet. So, you know, as ridiculous as it might have looked at first glance, it's actually pretty awesome. Okay, so here, let's get fancy. I think, oh, never mind, he kind of negated our ability to get fancy. I was going to check, let this guy bluff, let the big blind call with a lot of weaker made hands, and then check raise all in to squeeze both of them. And I think you get a lot of folds from hands like, you know, Jack 9 or something. Here, I just actually think my draw has dirty outs, and I don't have much implied odds. I mean, I'm paying pretty expensive price just to see the turn. If I had a gut shot as well, I'd probably just go with it. But here, so let's see, he's leading into me for half pot. I mean, I could raise. I don't think a lot of his worst draws are going to jam into me. So I'm just going to call. I think it's fine. I'm certainly not folding out a 10. I don't think he leads into me with a 6 or a 5. So really all I'm doing is avoiding bet 3 bets here. Now I could consider turning my hand into a bluff, but again, the assumption is that I don't think he leads into me with a 6 or a 5. Now if he checks, we got to think, okay, how much air can I represent here? What bluffs can I have? Well, now that I checked back the turn, it doesn't look like much. So I need to bet something tiny that he's going to be like, ah, call. How about $2? $2, sucker. You can't even call that. So, alright. Again, we're betting in proportion to what our distribution actually is. Okay, well, I would have won the hand, but did I play it incorrectly? No, I don't think so, because we successfully identified this sir as having quite a good hand. Oh, looks like he's playing some hopscotch here. Oh, maybe he's just piecing out. Speaking of piecing out, well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, check out PokerSprout.com if you want to learn some cool tricks. It's a little bit more helpful to learn the theory rather than just hear me ramble about it, because then you can apply it immediately and you can go ahead and just do it in a number of situations rather than the exact situation you saw me play, because sometimes, you know, those just don't come up as often. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.